Hi, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. I am so excited. Today we have Monica Cornetti, who's going to share with us some really vital information on gamification. She was featured on the cover of Bloomberg Business Week, and Monica works with individuals and organizations who want to learn how to think differently to achieve uncommon results. She's a gamification speaker and designer, and she was rated #1 among the Gamification Gurus Power 100 by Rise in 2015, 2016, and 2017. And she was also recognized as a top 3 finalist in the Gamification Guru of the Year Award by the World Gamification Congress held in Barcelona, Spain. Monica is the founder and CEO of Sententia Gamification, the founder of the International Gamification Conference, and the author of the book, Totally Awesome Training Activity Guide. Put gamification to work for you. Monica is hired for her skill as a gamification speaker and is considered at the top of her field in gamification design as a strategy for corporate and adult learning. She's a graduate of Seton Hill with a BA in psychology and the University of Houston, Victoria, where she earned her master's degree in economic development and entrepreneurship, which was voted by Forbes Small Business as one of the top 5 programs for entrepreneurial education in the country. I'm excited to hear from Monica today. I hope you guys are ready and taking great notes. We will have a recording at the end for you. Monica, glad to have you. It's all yours.
Hey, thank you, Janet. Thank you so much for inviting me to be a part of your webinar series. I'm very excited to be here today. Let's have some fun. Before we get started, I do want to make sure when I look at my chat bar, I can only send chats to the organizer. Is that correct? And it says organizer. I cannot send it to the participants that they can see it?
Monica, it's down at the bottom where you see where it says to and it says organizers.
Yes.
There should be a arrow where you can click on it and change that to the entire audience.
The option is not there for entire audience. It's organizers only, organizers and panelists, Janet, webinar hosts, staff.
And the first option is not entire audience?
No.
So I can, if there's something you'd like to send out to the entire audience, you can send it to me and I'll just post it into that chat for you. And we can do it that way.
Will I be able to see their chats?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay. Okay, well, let's try it. Let's just get started and try it. All right, when we think about gamification, it's been around. It's been a trend since 2010 in L&D, where we sit, all of us here on the call. We're a little bit late to the party, but my philosophy is it's better to get there late than not at all. It's still part of what's trending and moving more so to be accepted as commonplace. And I pulled this quote from the e-learning brothers earlier this year. They had a blog article about those things that are important trends for us for 2018. And their quote about gamification, when they were looking at the 5 trends, gamification was 2, I think. We've seen gamification achieve broad acceptance. It was once just a trendy buzzword, but now it's a regular part of e-learning courses. It's not just cool and hip and fun and different. It's a respected type of e-learning content for employee engagement and making learning really more challenging, more interactive. Before we get rolling, I always like to know where we are in our gamification knowledge. There's not a right or wrong answer to the question. So let me go ahead and put up just a simple Likert scale. So in the chat bar in just a few minutes, you can type in, are you a gamification master? That would be a #1, meaning that you've actually implemented gamification in some kind of design that is more than simply some points or badges or leaderboards, and not just a Jeopardy game or something like that in your learning programs, but an actual gamified program. 2 is you've done some lighter gamification with points, badges, and leaderboards. 3 is you've taken some previous courses in gamification design. It could have been at a conference or a webinar such as this or an online course. 4 is you've done some reading on some white papers, some blogs. You might download it in an ebook that you have a basic understanding of what gamification is. Or 5, you're really just entering into it and you've heard the term gamification and that's about it. You're not really sure what else it is. You just feel like, I need to get some understanding. So go ahead and type in the chat bar your answer to that. 1, 2, 3, or 5, because I can't see anything in the chat bar. Nothing's coming up in mine.
So Monica, I have created the poll, so they can actually just make their selection on the poll, and then I can share those results.
Okay, and where's the poll?
The poll should be on the screen at this time, and I see people they're making their selection.
Okay,
and
I can see that on the audience view. Yeah, good. Thanks. Sure. Thank you.
And
Excellent.
I'll give a few seconds here, and I'll close the poll here. And I'll share that with you. So the results should be showing on the screen.
Okay. So the majority are in the number 4 box. Read some papers, blogs, heard the term. I can't see the percentages on my screen. Can you share those with me?
Okay. Absolutely. So for done some PBL gamification, it's 18%. Taken previous courses in design, 18%. Read white pages or blogs, 45%, or heard the term, 18%.
All right. Well, that's a nice mix. And for those of you who are just getting started at 18%, welcome. Let's enjoy the journey. Let's get ready to roll. And those of you who have done some light gamification, I'd love to hear about how it worked for you, read some white papers or blogs. But for having participated in that poll, you've earned your first badge of this call. You're going to have the opportunity to earn 4 badges in our time together now. And so you've just earned the Ain't No Stopping Me Now badge, because this is what we're going to do today. We're going to learn more about gamification, what it is not, how we can use it, and best practices. So here's when I said something not a Jeopardy, what I really mean by that is that there's nothing wrong with including something like a Jeopardy game in our learning, and in fact we should. It's just that it is different from gamification, and we want to be aware of what the difference is. If you look at the circle on the left, games are just really for fun, for engagement, entertainment.
Monica,
yeah.
We're not seeing your screen.
I don't think it's back to me then. How do I get that back? Change presenter, show screen.
Yeah, now we got it.
Okay.
Great.
So you didn't see your badge you earned?
No.
All right, here you go. Here's your Ain't No Stopping Me Now badge. Here's what I'd like you to do. You can earn 4 badges in today's call. I want you to grab a screenshot of that, or you can just put a tick mark down on a piece of paper of how many badges you've earned. You earned that badge if you participated in that poll. And if you participated in the poll and earned the badge, then you're on your way to receiving a special reward at the end. So let's keep track. All right. Games are just for fun. Again, I'm concerned that I don't think I can see anything in the chat bar, but let's try it out. Type in the chat bar for me your favorite games that you played as a child. What were some of the favorite games? Can you read this to me?
So they are actually going to the questions panel. Hold on a second. I have to open it. Okay, so Lisa played Capture the Flag, and Renee plays Operation.
Cool, that's fun.
And those are the only 2 that I see that have responded at this time.
Okay,
Yolanda likes to play board games.
Good. Good.
Parcheesi.
Ooh, that's
Jeopardy and Sonia likes to play Jeopardy and Scott chess.
Oh, fun, fun, fun. A wide variety there. And that's when we think about gamification design, it's really deconstructing games, what made them fun, what made them interacting, why did we keep going back to our favorites, why did we like different ones than perhaps our sister or our brother liked or our friends. That's all about things that we consider in gamification design. Serious games take fun games and give them a reason for being, a reason to some kind of outcome that you want from them, like using a Jeopardy game for some kind of review in your learning programs. Gamification, though, could look nothing like a game, but it takes the game elements, game mechanics, and makes it game-like. So this is the definition of gamification. It is motivational design. It's roughly 75% psychology, 25% technology, and technology meaning whatever you use to deploy it, even if it's no tech, like tabletop games with cards. That is, I'm still putting that in that 25% technology deployment. It's really about who's playing, what motivates them, and how can we use game mechanics to trigger that motivation. So let's break down this definition just so we're clear. If I had a Monopoly game in front of me and I opened up that box, what would I see inside that box? Again, I can't see their comments, so if you could read those to me.
I will, let's see, I don't see any responses just yet.
What do I see inside that box of Monopoly?
Okay, so Sonia, all of the parts needed to play, board, dice, game pieces, cards, Monopoly money.
Good, money, yep.
A couple of people said money.
Good.
The board, dice, money objects.
Good,
The
good.
rule.
Good.
Said the rule.
Who said the rules?
William Jacob.
All right, very good. William, thank you for adding that one. For all the rest of you who participated, I appreciate that. When we open up that box, we see the money, the board, the dice, the cards, the hotels and the houses, the deeds that for each piece of property, those avatars, the game pieces that we get to move. Do you remember how you would fight over which of those pieces you would be? Like, I wanted to always be the Scotty dog or the hat. I didn't want to be the iron or the thimble. And because of the rules, those game elements now have meaning. Up until we add the rules to the game, they're just pieces, components, they're elements in a box. But because we have the rules, they now create this mechanic. The dice in and of itself is just dice. It's meaningless. But now, because of the rules, we roll the dice. Based on the rules, we move the number that's on the dice. We land on a great property like Park Place or maybe something like Reading Railroad. And now we have a choice we have to make. Is this something I want to invest in? Do I have the money to invest in it? Is this a good investment for me? So the elements with the rules become mechanics that create this dynamic that either makes it fun for us or not. And that's what we're doing in gamification design. I've been involved in gamification design since about 2000, started roughly in about 2004, really got into it in 2008, and this is 4 years before I knew that gamification was a thing, a process. I had no idea that this was something that other people were doing. I just started it because of a failure that I had. I was the administrator at a large not-for-profit for 10 years, and after I resigned, I was consulting on strategic planning because that's what my main focus was as the administrator every year was our annual strategic plan. I had designed it, I showed everybody how to use it, it was a process, and so I got invited to speak about that. And I was excited because I was a subject matter expert. I knew my stuff inside and out, no problem, walk in the park. Until I got there, And I don't know if this has happened to you, where you're in a presentation and you think, I don't even know what the speaker's talking about. I'm not interested in this. And you disconnect. And that's what was happening to me in that presentation. I realized about 20 minutes in that people really weren't listening. And I thought, what's wrong with these people? I have like my 5-step readiness checklist, the 7 things to make sure your team's ready for strategic planning, the 12-step implementation process. I had all the stuff, and it wasn't connecting though. And the clincher, though, the thing that really kind of kicked me in the butt was this gentleman in the very back row was leaning back in his chair, and I could see he was looking up at the ceiling, and he had his finger, and I could see that what he was doing was counting the ceiling tiles. And I thought, oh my gosh. To him, calculating the square footage of this room is more interesting than this information on strategic planning, which he came here to get. How can this be? And so when I left there that day, I was discouraged because I thought, man, I didn't do a very good job, but I wanted to do better. So I stopped at our local bookstore on the way home, and I bought a book by a gentleman named Mel Silberman, and it was called Interactive Learning or Training for Adults, I think is the title. I still have it on my shelf, still refer to it. It's dog-eared, sticky noted, highlighted, underlined, and I just started really diving into how do you make this more engaging, because I had no knowledge of how to do a good presentation. And so as I was learning that, at the same time, I had 3 teenage boys who would spend hours in the rec room playing video games with their friends. Couldn't get them to study for a test. If you're a parent, you've probably been there. You may have been one of those students, right, who your mom's nagging at you. What are these games going to get you? And I thought, why are they so engaged in these games for hours? What is that? And so I would just observe and watch and ask questions and interact, and started putting some of those components into my design projects that I was starting to do for clients. And so as I started doing that, then I realized in 2012 that gamification was actually a trend, and there was a whole international community. So I've been involved in that community since 2012. I've gotten to know people globally. We work with a global collective of gamification professionals who focus on our area where you and I are in talent development. It's called employee-facing gamification. So we use it for compliance training, onboarding, soft skills, new software, productivity, call centers, anything that helps employees to improve, do better, achieve more of company objectives. We actually have 3 levels of certification in gamification design for talent development. And these are some of the companies who we've worked with. They've either sent their employees to our certifications, or we've gone into their organizations and done train the trainer programs for their whole departments, where we teach them how to do gamification design. So welcome to that family of gamification designers. This is what we use to teach. It is our trademarked and proven process for adding gamification into some form of employee-facing training or onboarding. It's got 5 different levels, and when you think about gamification and why it works or why it doesn't, I'm going to show you those reasons right now. Do I have a marker? Yes, saw it. Okay. All right, so if we start down here, this is the first reason why gamification fails, is because we have no idea who's playing the game. We're just designing because we were told to design or asked to design, or we thought it'd be a good idea to design, but we really haven't thought about who's playing the game and why they would want to play. The second reason is right here, because this is where most people want to start. They want to start with the game mechanics. This is gamification. Why would we start anywhere else? But unless we know who's playing the game, we don't know what mechanics to put with them, and I'm going to show that to you as we go through this today. So we walk through the 5 levels: business objectives, creating some kind of context with the story, designing variety into our learning activities, the game mechanics at level 4, and then the aesthetics, so they want to play. Prototyping, playtesting, iteration. This is the process we walk through for every design that we do for a client and every time that we teach the process. And the reason that we do it is because there's just too much that happens in the workplace training talent area that's really not good. And, oh, how do I clear these? Cell drawings. Okay. As I have a challenge for you, I want you to think about this, and I'd like you to put your answers out there in the chat bar or whatever it is that you're using to answer my questions. It would be great. My question, my challenge to you is, how would your learning programs, your trainings change if training was optional? What if your employees did not have to take your training? What if they had the choice and they could say yes or no to it? What if they could choose between your course and an outside vendor, that you could do it in-house with this or you could take it externally? What would you do different with your training if training was optional? Think about that and go ahead and answer in the chat bar or
Okay, so we have a couple of responses. Renee says, make the training more relevant and engaging. Sonia, most likely participation would decline. And let's see. Deepak says it will severely impact performance because people will opt out of it. And Lisa, better marketing of selling of the offering. Better marketing or selling of the offering. And we have some more here. Make it more interactive.
Good. That's what I'm looking for. What would you do differently with your programs? Okay, good, good. More interactive, more relevant, more engaging. Those are good. What else?
The interactive, relevant. Sandra says I'd make my sessions shorter. And that's it. That completes the answers here.
That's good. That's really good. And when I ask this question, like in conferences, and I say, you know, what would we do differently? I hear these answers exactly. It'd be more interactive. It'd be more relative. It'd be more engaging. How would we do that? And usually what we come to is, well, we would make it more fun. People like to play games. We would let them have more fun, even if it's a serious topic or serious discussion or something that, like, it's important that they know it so that perhaps that they don't get injured on the job. Even that, we would make it more relevant and engaging by adding some fun to it. So when we're thinking about our learning programs, this video is going to pop up on this next screen. I'm going to have to send you a link to it. It's you could listen to it silently, which we can certainly do. Let's see if we can watch it.
Monica, we also have a question.
Okay, so I know you had a question, and I will certainly answer that. What I want us to think about is what did we see in that made that very game-like. You couldn't hear the music, but there was the whole James Bond theme playing, so I'll make sure that you have the link to that so you can experience it fully, because it really does help with the adrenaline. But you saw challenges, right? You saw levels. You saw what? A countdown clock. You saw the look in his eye when he decided he was going to play the game and get involved with it. The whole purpose of and so they just to be for that specific group. And when we're thinking about who we're designing for, it's important for us to think about who we're designing for. Myself, if I went up to a Coke machine, I don't know about you, I would probably say, first off, why do you want my name? I just want a Coke. And second, no, I'm not going up to 6 levels to get some tickets. I'm just not that interested. But the demographic they were going after, that was a real challenge for them. So how do we do it? I'm going to show you 4 ways that you can bring gamification into your learning environment. And the first one, which is the easiest, is cosmetic. Cosmetic is where you have a program, it's already designed, you're already maybe even running it, and you're thinking about it and you think, well, how could I make it more engaging? Without changing the content of the course, you're adding a cosmetic overlay for interaction and using game elements and mechanics. So, for example, I designed this for a group in Austin that I work with on a regular basis, and they were doing the stages of team development. They do road work and construction and paving and those kind of things. So I decided to use this road theme, had different stops along the way so they could have progress. On the tables I put, because it was instructor-led, I had hazard signs and danger and detour and caution and speed limits, and would call those out throughout the day as part of the learning process, which just made the entire day much more engaging and fun, and they really got involved with the learning rather than sitting there being passive. Did not change the content in any way, just how it was structured for delivery. So this is something, when you think about a cosmetic overlay, that you can do immediately. This is just a starting of a basic real beginning stage, because it's proprietary, so I can't show you any of the real final, but this is just a map that I grabbed from Beck Easy for a bank in San Francisco. They have a Mascot, and it's a 4.5-day instructor-led training about all of their deposit services. That's a lot of instruction. At the end of that instruction, they have to take a 200-word certification test, which they have to have at 85 or better to pass. So it's 4.5 days. It's tedious. It's difficult. How can we make it more fun? They're based in San Francisco. They have different branches. They offer different services. So we had their Eagle, which has a name. We took them on a journey through San Francisco for each of the different deposits with challenges, teamwork along the way, knowledge checks, quests that they had to go on. The content was the content. The president of the bank was unwilling to waver on that at all, which is fine. That's perfectly fine. It's already been developed. That's great. How can we make 4.5 days more engaging so they can get 100% pass rate, which they were able to achieve? Was we add those game elements, things that make it more game-like and fun. So VectEasy is a great place to start. You don't have to go out there right now. But if you're thinking about any of your learning programs that you know you can make more interesting by just putting a simple cosmetic overlay to it, what might that look like if you think about it? Do you have any courses in mind that you think, oh, I could do something with that? Go ahead and type those answers in, and I'll take the question if you'd like.
So, honestly, the question earlier was from Scott, and he was asking, what if It applies to e-learning, not specifically targeted to corporate training. For example, English class for Spanish speakers.
Good. I'll show you an example, Scott, but I'm not going to actually be able to show it to you because you have to hear this one, but I'm going to give you the link, and maybe you can run out there, and it's what Brown University did for their literature course. So I think it'll answer your question when I get there in just a few minutes. So you can let me know if I've answered it when we get there, okay, Scott? All right, so anyone typing anything in as far as some ideas for cosmetic overlays?
Yes, so we have levels of 5S, a history class for citizenship, and Scott says, okay.
Okay, good. So I want us to just think about mechanics that are essential in gamification design, like progress, meaningful choice, probably some element of chance. Teams and collaboration are good. Those are things that, as we think about a cosmetic overlay, progress stops, like where I was talking about, like the hazard signs, you know, like detours, just bringing some emotion, some frustration into the learning and then helping them get through it. That's, when you think about design, that's what we can do immediately with cosmetic at really low cost. All right, now I'm going to take it up a level. Oh, before we do that though, if you participated and you thought about possibilities for your programs, you have just earned the Show Me the Way to the Cosmetic Counter badge. So that's your second badge. Congratulations if you earned that. Grab that badge so that you're halfway there to your badge count. All right, now a little bit more in depth, a little bit more work, but still not full-blown gamification is Accessory. This is where we add some simple points badges, perhaps a leaderboard, show some progress, but it's incorporating it more into the design. So for example, a recent program that we were involved with, in fact, Janeth was in there, we had a group of people who were all smart, intelligent, creative, really brilliant people working on their own individual design projects, but it was a mastermind. So we needed to share and collaborate, but still keep working separately. But we were set up as teams, and we'd come back together for challenges. We had an in-game currency that they would have to spend in order to get their different challenges and mastermind moments. And this was just an example of a challenge that the team had to solve before they could level up. So this is the Fox Chicken Feed Challenge. Do you know this one? It's a logistical challenge. Farmer lives next to a river. He purchases a fox, a chicken, and a bag of feed. He's got to get across the river. He's got a small boat, but he can only take one of them at a time. He can't leave the fox with the chicken because the fox will eat the chicken. He can't leave the chicken with the corn because the chicken will eat the corn. Do you know the answer? How does he get them across? Does anybody know this logistics challenge?
I don't have any responses yet. Oh, Deepak has his hand raised.
Good, Deepak. Do you know how it goes? Can he open his mic?
Yes, I sure can. Deepak? Oh, he says he's going to have to type it. He can't.
Okay, I know it's a long type too, Deepak. I know that. That's a lot of typing.
Let's see if someone else has. He says, first the chicken goes. And I guess while Deepak finishes typing, Scott has another question.
Okay.
What were the 4 things mentioned for cosmetic overlay?
Oh, I said progress, chance, meaningful choices, and collaboration. And those, to me, are 4 components of every gamification design. I wouldn't design probably any project without including those 4. There's a handful of other must-haves. There's some nice-to-haves and good-to-haves. But I think we need to show progress, give people meaningful choices along the way, a chance element, surprise element, and then also collaboration. In games, you can have PvP, player versus player. In the work environment, that can be detrimental. It's better to work as teams. Okay, so do we have the answer, Deepak?
We have, Priscilla responded also, so I'll read Deepak's and then I'll read what Priscilla says. So Deepak says, first the chicken goes, then he goes back and takes the fox and drops the fox and brings back the chicken and drops it and takes the grain or the maize back to the other side and goes back and brings the chicken.
That's exactly right. That's very good. That's very good.
Okay.
So Priscilla had the same?
Priscilla was I guess she takes the fox, then the grain, then the chicken. So
same thing, right? Yeah, same thing. Good job, both of you. Very good. Now, in this course where we were doing this, it was 3 days together. Each of the level ups led into what we were doing next. So this was about like how things are going to happen. It was a logistics question because the next area we were going into was logistic challenges with design. So each of them were part of the gamification, but there was in-game currency that they had to spend in order to do it, and they worked with collaboration, and there was a countdown clock, and so just those simple game elements. This is one for an e-learning project. It's actually for a MOOC that Ehab Abudaya, who works for the Queen Rania Foundation, developed. They're doing a MOOC for UX UI design. So these are some simple badges that they get to unlock along the way. He created leaderboards, and if you notice across the top, he did a great, fantastic design by creating a global leaderboard, a local, and a friends. So that the thing about leaderboards is they work until you feel like you can't compete, and then they're not motivating. And he also had progress bars so people could see where they were in their journey. The thing that I get so excited about Ehab's design is that oftentimes we think, well, I can't do a leaderboard, or my program won't do a progress bar. These are static images. So based on where people were in the program or the leaderboard, they're just static images that they were able to put in there to give the illusion of movement. And so we all can do that. This is a design that all of us could incorporate. Thinking of through, okay, my program doesn't do that. How can I still give the illusion of that even though my program isn't designed to do it? So it's a fantastic design by Ehab. All right, a step further is integrated, and this is where we go into full-blown gamification design. We start at the beginning with the content, and we start mapping it from there. This was a 1-hour compliance test course for a timeshare. They have timeshares. Brandon did so much well with this. There's rules of the game. Terry the turkey starts with no feathers. They get meaningful choice. They get to click on feathers along the way to get the questions. They get to choose the questions. They have to get at least 22 out of 25. The thing that's great about that design is in education, we start at A and work down. In games, we start at 0 and work up. And so I just need to get 3 more now, and I will be done. So instead of that defeating feeling of, oh my gosh, I'm doing poorly, I can't miss anymore, I'm going to fail, I know I just got to get 3 more right. How different does that make us feel? The best thing was, though, if you failed, your turkey explodes, which is really great. So they had the meaningful choices of choosing their questions. They got to collect. Terry's feathers would go back on Terry the turkey as they answered the questions correctly. Here's what's so great. They had 100% compliance. This is a test, no matter how long you've worked there, 35 years, you still have to take this annually. Of course, everyone's complaining, we don't have time to take this course. We know this information. Why do I have to take it? I take it every year. So your learners who are complaining to you that they do not have time to take it, almost everybody took the course twice. That's what I love best about Brandon's design, is my learners who are complaining that they don't have time to take it took it twice. Do you know why they took it twice? because they wanted to see the turkey explode. It's the same reason we watch those American's Funniest Home Videos where people are doing crazy things, getting, not hurt really badly, but Terry explodes. It's the Schadenfreude fun of something happening to somebody else, and it's just Terry. It's a fake cartoon turkey. We're not really blowing up a real turkey. People who complain they don't have time to take it once took it twice. That's how much fun this game was, this gamification of this compliance course. Very creative design. Another one is by Tracy OConnor. It's about Jeff who's going to Mars to find another place for his big international business. That will stop there. She works at a contact center. So she started at the very beginning, level 1 of our training map. What are the objectives? Measured out. She created different personas because this is an international course. Who are the different personas we're designing for? Matching those personas to motivations, that what motivates them, and the mechanics with them. And then she mapped out the story. He goes to Mars. His spaceship's in ruins. You've got to help him rebuild it before he can get home. You've got so many calendar days before he'll run out of food. You have a toolbox, you spin the dial, there's chance. You have different scenarios. You earn tools to help Jeff rebuild his ship. You earn these little icons along the way. If you help to get Jeff home safely within the calendar days, you get a phone tool icon, which is extremely huge in this organization to earn these icons. It's something that they all collect. So that's a fully immersive design using game mechanics. And this is the mechanics spelled out and how they were used in the training. So there's a lot of detail here, of course, which I believe you'll have the recording to this. Is that true, Janeth? Or should
Yes.
Yes, okay. So I would take some time and go back and read through here. This is what we teach in our certification courses. This is a level 3 design. This is fully gamified from start to finish. And here's the reason why. The reason that gamification fails, if you remember I circled up in that 4th level, the mechanics, is because your mechanics act as either a trigger to cause somebody to take an action or a feedback reward for an action taken. And so if we don't know what's going to motivate people, we don't know what mechanics to put in there. And with over 300 game mechanics to choose from, we're in a danger zone. So our triggers can be internal or external. If you go back and watch that Coke Zero video, like you've got 70 seconds, go. That's an external trigger for them to take action. Then there was feedback along the way, depending on how well you were doing. It was good feedback or not so great. Like if you were already on the 5th level and you still had 30 seconds, you're doing great. If you saw the countdown clock, if it's I'm only on the 2nd level and I've got 7 seconds left, it's the same feedback. It's just not great feedback for me. So our mechanics have to either trigger or give feedback, and they fall into either this top left box or the bottom right. Now, this is from Nir Eyal. If you look down here at the bottom where you see Nir Eyal, this is a book of his called Hooked. And Hooked is about how to build habit-forming products, but the same is true for gamification design. And the reason is, as we think about adding mechanics, is that if you think about your cell phone and when it became an addiction for you. I mean, right now your cell phone is probably sitting right next to you. You've probably looked at it at least twice, if not more, during this call. And we're interacting with it constantly. Right now, 93% of people have a cell phone. 93, I don't know who the 7% are that don't, but 72% of smartphone users check their device at least once an hour. 43% check their phone within 5 minutes of waking up. And 1/3 say they would rather give up sex than lose their cell phones. That's an addiction. But it hasn't always been an addiction. Became an addiction when our cell phone stopped being a phone and started being a way that we interact with life and with other people and with friends and family and business and everything that we do. We've given our life over to artificial intelligence. And when we think about habits, that's what we're wanting to create with gamification, and we've got to put the mechanics in there that cause that same kind of dopamine effect that we get with the use of a cell phone and the feedback that we get from it. So if we think about strategically placing mechanics into our learning program to either trigger or reward, that's successful gamification. And for understanding that concept, you earn the Mechanics Maestro badge. Way to go. Fantastic. Awesome. Okay.
Monica, we have a few questions.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'll start with Scott. He actually had a comment and a question. His comment, I guess, was about the cell phone usage, that he says he needs rehab for his cell phone. And his question is, could you repeat the, is when you were talking about education scoring?
Yes. Okay. So when you think about school, when we go to school, you start with 100% and you work down. So you take a test and you get an 89 on it. And you think, oh gosh, okay, I need like a 92 next test to keep an A, if an A is 90. 91, whatever that would be. All right, so then the next test you get an 85. You're like, oh shoot, now on the next test I need to get a 97 or whatever. I'm not going to do the exact math. Then the next test you get like an 83 and like, oh no, I'm so far away from an A. By the end of the semester you need 192 on the test in order to get an A, or 127 or whatever that would be. It's extremely defeating because I can't do poorly, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail. Let's reverse it. What if we start at 0, and as they get things right, they add points to it? So they need 10 points before they can go on to the next level. Well, I can keep trying until I get those 10 points. I'm not going to fail. It may take me longer, but I'm going to succeed. Think of how that makes you feel different right away when you think about, well, look, I already got 8 out of 10. I just need 2 more. Let's go. Let's get it done. We can complete this. Let's do it. Completion is a huge motivator for most people. Okay, you're only 2 away. Come on, let's try it again. Try it again. We remove failure. In games, you might die, but you just start over again. In games, you might fall into the flood or the fire or the nails or whatever it is, but you just start over again. You've never really lost. I mean, you might, but you can just play again. We don't do that in education. We defeat rather than encourage. So that's what I meant, Scott. What else do we have?
So we have Lisa. So when we were talking about the exploding turkeys, do you find that things like exploding turkeys or hangman games, or et cetera, lead to some players wanting to see what happens with the failed scenario?
Yes, exactly, Lisa. That's why most people took it twice, because they wanted to watch the turkey explode. I mean, it's silly. Who cares, right? I mean, in the big picture of life, we're important people doing important work. We got stuff to do. But because we're drawn to that, I don't know if you go into restaurants or bars or in that, there's this new channel that's out there that just shows nonstop videos of people trying, mostly males, trying these outrageous stunts and actions. And some of them are really cool because, they're on a train and they're doing pole vaulting into a car that has water in it like a swimming pool, and it's extremely intricate and that's really cool. But then they also show a lot of the fail videos. You can't take your eyes away from it. You just sit there and watch the fail after fail after fail. Sometimes you cringe because you think, ooh, that hurt. But we're fascinated by it. And so by including that whole idea of this is dull, this is boring, this is repetitive, well, let's make it fun. We'll let Terry blow up if we don't get there. It kept people engaged in them wanting to see what happened. And then they went back and answered the questions the right way. So I think it's I wouldn't include it in all my designs. I mean, that would just get repetitive too, but it's a fun component to consider in designs.
Mm-hmm.
Good?
Yeah, I think you just answered her second question, because her second question was, do you mean they took it to fail it first and see the explosion and then a second time so they could pass it?
Right,
So,
exactly. Yes, yeah. They knew as they were going because, of course, right away people start talking, oh my gosh, and Terry blows up on the screen. It's so great. Well, I want to see that. What do you mean? Let me do it. So I go through, I answer questions incorrectly to get him to explode, and then I go back and I work on getting him right.
the one,
No
I hope I'm saying
complaints.
the
Yeah,
name
go
right.
ahead.
Dewana has, she has a question about the cost of the certification course. How much is the certification course?
Well, it depends on how you take it. I think that with Houston, ATD Houston, we're going to do a level 2 live coming up. I know it's on the calendar. I just don't know when that is. So I believe we're going to coordinate with the ATD Houston chapter a virtual level 1. So those who want to participate in the live can go through the virtual level 1. So that's a blended virtual online. And then we'll do the level 2 live with ATD Houston. So depending on if you take it live at an event or through an ATD chapter, or if you take our online self-study or our online blended virtual program, we have a variety of different ways you can take it. So I'll show you a link for that at the end so you can go out there and check it out. But I do know we'll be scheduling something with the ATD chapter. And so if you're a chapter member, you will, I'm fairly certain you get a discount. That's usually how it works. So I hope that answers. Okay, now, so we're going to run out of time, and I know we were a little slow in starting, but I'm not going to be able to show you this video, but I really do want you to grab the link and go watch this. This was by Brown University. If you could see where this started with just their whiteboard drawings of circles and lines connecting it to what it created, was it to me, I get chills even when I just watch the little demo video. They worked with an artist, Matt Rotman, who Naomi Paraso is the instructional designer, and she knew Matt from a previous project, and the professor of English is Jim Egan. And so they have a literature course that they designed that takes you on this fantastic voyage through these different worlds of literature. I mean, look at that artwork. It's just phenomenal. Everybody got to create their own avatar. And what's really great, and I don't want this to start, okay, you have to hear the words on this, so I don't want you, it won't do us any good to watch the video, but this is the YouTube link at the bottom, and, oh, sorry, let me go back. I can't grab it right now, but I will make sure that you have it. So I'll send that to you, I'll send it to Jonathan if she can get it out with the replay link, the video links for each of the 3 videos in here that you can't watch. You're going to want, it's just 2.5 minutes long. I guarantee you want to watch this to see what can be done. Fully immersive design. The best thing about this is that this literature course is considered one of those, oh, I'll take this course because I got 3 more credits I have to get for my English credits, and it's in the summer, and so it'll be a blow-off course. People did the very minimum work they'd have to do. Not this time. They had the choice of creating their own avatar, and everyone did. That took time. They were given a choice after reading and along the way of either answering like a simple multiple choice quiz or test, or doing some other project that would take a whole lot more investment of their time and energy and risk, like doing a presentation or something. And every time they chose the more difficult tasks to prove that they learned something or to share what knowledge they had gained. This is a course that in the previous had been like a blow-off course. And now everyone's choosing, I don't want to take a multiple choice test, I want to do something fun with this. It's phenomenal, the results they received. Naomi and Jim will actually be presenting at our Gamicon that we're doing this fall and showing their process for putting this together. So that it's just great fun, and you'll want to see that. What does it cost, though? If you look at instructor-led training, it's about $5,000, almost $6,000 for an hour of, for every hour of learning. It's about $6,000 to create it. To do what Naomi and Jim did, not so much for them because it was a university setting, so they have more access to resources, but in a business setting, roughly $50,000 per contact hour to create that kind of immersive design. As fun as it is, we want to make sure we've worked out kinks first, And that's why up in our level 5 on the map, we always are playtesting and iterating before we'd go into any kind of design that would invest these kind of dollars. Some people have this kind of budget. It's not they can do it. They're given that kind of money for their learning training programs. For some of you, you is the training department. You do all design, you do all delivery, you do all the development, you're the video department, you're the voiceover department, you do it all. So it may be a little bit outside our reach, but with 80% epic fail, we want to make sure that we understand the process, which is why we're so very passionate about teaching people this process. There's 30 stepping stones on this treasure map. Every one of them is important. Some of them take you a whole lot longer. Some of them you can quickly skip. I mean, not skip over them, but it's like, okay, I got that. What's the next one? So they're not all equal in their difficulty, but they are all important for successful design, because there is a fail 80% ratio right now of programs. This next video, we won't walk through it. I'll send you the link, but I think you'll really enjoy it. It's the people who were not able to successfully complete the Coke Zero Challenge. And so it's fun to watch those who did not make it and why they did not. So I'll send that link so that they can send it out with the replay link. And I go back to that original challenge question. What would you do differently if your training was optional? If students did not have to take your course, or I think worse, if they could choose, no, I don't like your course because it's just the same old PowerPoint, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take this other course where I get to make an avatar and I get to have a chance element, and I could win, I could lose. I don't fail ever. I get to retake it if I don't understand it. I get to learn so I can do differently. I would imagine that we would start to challenge ourselves to create better programs. So if you're thinking about what you would do differently after watching this video, you've earned the Ready to Launch badge. So congratulations on that. That's fantastic. There are 3 levels of gamification design. Like I mentioned, it is the only gamification for talent development, and it's also pre-approved by HRCI, SHRM, and ATD for recertification credits. I mentioned GamiCon. It's the first ever international gamification conference for L&D. We're holding it a co-located event with Training Magazine in October. We're doing a gamification throwdown. So if you design a project and you want to enter, you'll actually win a Training Magazine award. We have 5 different categories. So it's a training magazine, which you know carries quite a bit of prestige with it. You can find more information on GamiCon at gamicon.us. When we're thinking about badges, badges gain importance by mapping a constellation, people knowing how many they can earn, what it's going to get them, what do we do with it next. And if you earned all 4 badges, I want you to send me an email at guru@sententiagames.com, and I'll send you a link where you can go claim your digital badge. Now, a digital badge is something that you can use in your social media and workplace platforms to show people that you've taken training in gamification and that you've earned Gamification Explorer. So just simply email me, guru@sententiagames. I'll send you the link. You can go out, claim your digital badge, and it will walk you through how to share that on any of your social platforms that you may like. I started out because of the guy who was counting ceiling tiles, but these 2 guys on the screen are why I am so focused on it now. It's because they approach life with surprise and delight about learning. And I know that when they go to school, some things are going to start to change, and certainly by the time they become adults and enter the workforce and enter your learning programs, a lot of that desire to learn is just gone. There's a lot of fears, a lot of falsehoods about their abilities to do things. And so I'm going to throw that challenge out to you. It's your job. It's your job to create this kind of excitement in learning so that people can do things differently in the workplace. And I believe you are up for the challenge. You can find out more about our certifications there at sententiagames.com. And I believe that brings us to the end, and we're just a little bit over time. So,
okay. Well, okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us during your lunch today for our gamification webinar. Thank you, Monica, for such great information. And I hope everyone has earned their badges and has taken some really great notes. I know I certainly did. And I hope everyone has a great rest of the day.
Can I say one more thing? Can I say one more thing before we close out?
Absolutely.
I know, like, Scott, you had a lot of questions, and anyone else, you know, if Scott's thinking it, I know other people are too. So you see my email there, guru@sententiagames. Don't hesitate to reach out, please. Connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email, and I'm happy to answer your questions as you're learning more about gamification design and how you can use it in your designs. So I just want to encourage you, feel free to send those questions over. All right, thanks so much for this opportunity. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you, Monica.